You've seen it all over social media, right? The Lamborghinis, the laptops by the pool, this promise that you can just quit your job with a few clicks of a button, the day trading dream. It's really appealing. But let's be honest, how much of that is actually real? It's time to separate the fantasy from the cold, hard facts.
So, here's the journey we're going to go on together. First, we're going to dive into that dream, the hype. Then, we're going to slam on the brakes and look at the brutal data. After that, we'll figure out why so many people fail and uncover the real battle, the one that happens inside your own head. And don't worry, we'll wrap it all up by building a much smarter way to approach this whole game.
All right, so let's start with the dream itself. It's a powerful story, isn't it? We're constantly bombarded with these success stories, promising that pretty much anyone can become a stock market genius right from their living room. And the message is always the same. You got to get in now or you're going to be left in the dust.
And this quote, man, it just captures the feeling perfectly. It is pure, unfiltered FOMO, the fear of missing out. It's a line designed to hit you right in the gut, to make you bypass all logic and just jump in. Because what if? What if this is your one and only shot? And of course, the grand prize they're all dangling in front of you is this incredible idea of financial freedom. The ability to escape the 9-to-5 grind, to not answer to a boss, to be in complete control of your life. And that's so much more powerful than just money. It's about freedom, and that's a tough thing to resist. And then things like the whole GameStop explosion just poured gasoline on the fire. It created this almost mythological story that regular people with nothing more than a trading app and a Reddit account could actually beat Wall Street at its own game and get rich overnight. It made something that seems impossible feel totally possible. But is it?
Okay, so we've had the dream. Now it's time for a wake-up call. Because when you switch off all the noise from social media and you just look at the raw data, a completely different story starts to emerge. See, the stories are just stories. The numbers, well, the numbers don't lie. So let's just forget about the 1 in a million lottery ticket winners that go viral. What happens to the average person, the vast, vast majority of people who actually try to do this for a living?
Well, here it is, and it's a gut punch of a number. We're talking multiple academic studies here, not influencers, not brokers selling you something. These are studies that watched thousands of traders, and they all came to the same conclusion. 97% of day traders lose money. Just let that sink in for a second. Out of every 100 people who try this, 97 of them fail. And this chart really puts it under a microscope. So you see that tiny little 3% of people who actually make some profit? Well, look closer. Only a third of them, just 1% of the total, can actually do it predictably once you factor in all the fees and commissions. So making consistent money from day trading isn't just difficult, it's unbelievably rare.
This timeline, this just shows you how brutal the process is. It's staggering. 40% of new traders are gone within the first month. By the end of year one, well, there's that 97% failure rate kicking in. And after 5 years, only 7 out of 100 are even still trying. This isn't just a race to make a profit. For most, it's just a desperate fight to survive.
Okay, so if the failure rate is that astronomically high, the big question is, why? It can't just be that 97% of people are unlucky. Well, it's not. It turns out that most people who lose money are making the same predictable and, believe it or not, avoidable mistakes.
Just take a look at this list. Does any of this hit a little close to home? Because these right here, these are the account killers. Trading without a plan, that's just gambling. Ignoring risk, that's like trying to drive a car with no brakes. And revenge trading? Oh boy. That's when you lose money and immediately jump back in to win it back. It is the fastest way to blow up your account, period.
This analogy just nails one of the biggest mistakes. So many traders are constantly changing their strategy. After one losing trade, they switch indicators. After the next, they change their rules. Well, if you do that, your brain never gets the consistent feedback it needs to learn anything. You can't get good at a game if you keep changing the rules on yourself.
And really, it all boils down to this one simple divide. Professionals trade based on a plan. Amateurs trade based on how they feel in the moment. A professional sees a loss as just a business expense. An emotional trader sees it as a personal insult, gets angry, and jumps back in to get even with the market. And we all know how that story ends. And that brings us to the absolute core of this whole thing. All those technical mistakes we just talked about, they're just symptoms. The real root cause of failure, the reason that 97% number is so high, it has nothing to do with charts or strategies.
It's all about the wiring inside your own head. Now, this might be a tough pill to swallow, but it's the truth. Most traders who are losing money already know what they're supposed to be doing. They know they need a stop loss. They know they shouldn't chase trades. The problem isn't what they know. The problem is they can't force themselves to stop doing what feels comfortable, even if what's comfortable is losing money over and over again. And we can call this the comfort trap. See, your brain is a pattern-recognizing machine. And weirdly enough, it would rather stick with a pattern of failure that it knows and understands than try a new pattern of success that feels strange and unfamiliar. Winning, especially at first, can feel uncomfortable, and most people just can't handle that discomfort.
So how in the world do you break out of that trap? Well, you stop relying on willpower and you start building systems. If you're a revenge trader, you call your broker and have them set a hard daily loss limit that literally locks you out. If you're addicted to the excitement, you force yourself to only trade boring, pre-planned setups. You have to use unbreakable rules to replace your bad habits.
Okay, so once you start getting your head straight, the next piece of the puzzle is choosing the right tool for the job. You know, not all markets are built the same, and what you choose to trade can actually give you a huge advantage or disadvantage. So let's compare the two most popular options, stocks and futures.
This chart lays out some really big differences. For stocks, there's a thing called the pattern day trader rule, which basically says you need at least $25,000 in your account to day trade. With futures, that rule just doesn't exist. You can get started with a much smaller account. Then there are the hours. Stocks trade for 6.5 hours, while futures trade for almost 23 hours a day. But the really big one is taxes. This right here is probably the biggest hidden advantage out there. See, with stocks, every single penny you make from day trading is taxed at your highest possible income tax rate. But with futures, the IRS gives you this special deal called the 60-40 rule. It means 60% of your profits get taxed at the much, much lower long-term capital gains rate. Over a year, this can literally save you thousands, even tens of thousands of dollars. All right, so we have shattered the myth, we have stared the ugly data in the face, and we've finally understood that the biggest battle is psychological. So now, let's put it all together into a real plan for trading smarter. Because the path to actually being consistent isn't some secret, it's just a set of rules you refuse to break. Like, if you remember nothing else from this entire explainer, please let it be this slide. If you actually want a shot at being in that tiny 3%, these 4 rules are not suggestions. They are laws. Number 1, you use a protective stop order on every single trade. No excuses. Number 2, you never ever risk more than 1% of your entire account on one trade. 3, you define your stop, your entry, and your target before you ever get into the trade. And 4, all of this is written down in a plan that you follow, especially when you're feeling emotional.
In the end, it all comes down to this. The market, it's just an arena. All those squiggly lines on the chart are just a visual representation of mass human psychology, fear and greed. Winning this game isn't about predicting the future. It's about mastering yourself. And so the real challenge isn't the market, it's you. The only question left is, are you really ready to change?